그 집 아들인데. 잘 인사하고. 이 집사님이 그 부인이야. 우리 작년에 당신 운전면허증 갖다 줘.
How's everybody doing today? Put a hand up. Everybody's in a good mood today. Everybody feeling pretty good? Happy Sabbath. Glad to see everyone here. And I get to tell a story. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to share with you a story this morning. How many of you know what grace is? You know what grace is? You ever heard that term? If you know what it is, okay? My story is going to talk about what grace is, hopefully illustrate what it is. Maybe we'll get a better understanding of how much Jesus loves us. What do you say? That sound good? All right, so I'm going to take you back to a year long, long ago, 1974. We're talking prehistoric times. Before there was internet, before there was computers, before there was cell phones, before there was HD TV. We had 5 channels that we could watch on the TV. And you had to watch programs when they were scheduled because you couldn't stream them. You couldn't record them and watch them later or anything like that. So we're talking really weird times. We had to do strange things. We had to run outside and play all day. We rode our bikes around and saw friends. We actually didn't have to call before we came. We just showed up at their house. Hey, how's it going? Go out and play some ball, do something like that. So it was very weird times. It's amazing we survived what we did. And but the story I'm going to tell you took place, I was 11 years old in 1974. My brother was in the Army, and he was stationed in Alabama. How many know where Alabama is? Anybody know where Alabama is? Okay. All right, so he drove up with his family to be with us for the 4th of July, one of my favorite holidays. And in Minnesota, now I grew up loving fireworks. You know, like the 4th of July, going to fireworks shows was one of my favorite things to do. And I always wanted to have, firecrackers and things that I could get. But see, in Minnesota, those things were illegal. You couldn't get, they were forbidden. You could get sparklers and boring things like that, but nothing that exploded, okay? So my brother comes up through Wisconsin. He stops in Wisconsin and picks up fireworks and brings them to our house. That'd be fun for us to blow off. And one day, after he was there, he had a brick of firecrackers. He'd come dressed like this. And he'd open up one, we blew a few up before, and he set those, I'll never forget, on top of the refrigerator in our kitchen. And the day came, I think it was a Sunday, and he said to me, he goes, okay, Dad and I have to go somewhere, and you're going to be home alone. Do not touch the firecrackers without my being here. Don't blow any off when no one's around. You have to have an adult with you. I said, okay. Well, I already had plans to go down to see my friend, Tony Crystal, who lived about a mile away, and I could ride my bike over to his house, right? So they left, and I kept looking at the fireworks, or at the firecrackers, and I kept thinking, man, it'd be so much fun to just take a few of those packs and go and see my friend Tony, I thought about it for a while. This is kind of what happens, by the way, when we're making bad decisions. We kind of think about it for a little while, and we keep thinking about it. We need to put those out of our mind and not think about it, but I did think about it. And finally, I made the decision to take some of the firecrackers. So I take about 6-7 packs and I stuffed them in my pocket. And I got on my bicycle and I rode over to Tony's house. I was so excited because I thought, man, we're going to have so much fun blowing these firecrackers off. So I get to Tony's house and I showed him what I had in my pocket. And I said, we got to go somewhere and blow these off, So he got a lighter or a match or something, and we took those firecrackers out to a field that was right by his house. We figured we'd be out of the way, no one will see us out there, right? So we went out to this place, and we had fun just lighting out these firecrackers and making all kinds of noise and laughing, having a good time. And at the end, when that was all over, I'm sure it was Tony that had this idea, not me. But it was to burn, he thought, let's get rid of the evidence. We have all these wrappers that came off the firecracker things, that we put on the ground. Somebody will find that. Let's get rid of that and burn the evidence, okay? This is the way a sick mind thinks. So we took that paper, we put it in a tree. There's a tree there, there's a hollow part of the tree. And we stuck the paper in there and we lit it on fire. And we thought, okay, it looks good enough. Tony said, hey, my mom's making sandwiches for lunch. Why don't you come over to the house and we'll have lunch together? I said, sure, that sounds good. I was hungry. So we headed over to his house. His house was just a little ways away. We went there, sat down, had a wonderful meal, nice sandwiches, everything was good. And about an hour later, I said, I gotta go. My dad and my brother will be back soon. I need to get home. And so I said goodbye, and I walked outside. I got on my bike, and as I turned the corner, the entire field that we were blowing firecrackers off was on fire. I mean, there was smoke everywhere. And I looked over here, and there was a feed mill where they made chicken feed right by there. And all the people from the plant were coming over to see what was going on with the fire. The fire truck was coming down the road, right? And I realized that I'd made a bad decision. And so, but I didn't know what to do. So I just got on my bike and I started heading home. I was going to get out of there as fast as possible. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I didn't have time to go back and tell Tony what had happened. They're still in the house. And as I'm coming down that road, I'm scared. And I'm like, what's the heck? How are they going to know what's going to happen? As I get down to the part where the road turned right, here comes my dad, the old Chevy blue pickup that we owned, coming around the corner with my brother on the other on the right-hand seat. And I knew I was done for. I mean, he stopped, and I just told him what had happened. I was just like, there's no way I'm going to not confess. I just told him what happened. I felt really bad. He kind of really looked at me angrily and said, you just get home, and we'll deal with this when I get back. Well, I knew I was in trouble, so I headed home. I think I was probably shaking by that point, just worried about everything. I just went in, and I was just ready. I knew when I got home. See, in those days, in this prehistoric times, we had a form of punishment that was known as a spanking, and it wasn't very pleasant. My dad was known to do that from time to time. And so I got home, and I just knew it was all over side. I don't know what happened, how long I was there, but I went and I kneeled beside my bed. And I just waited for the spanking. I wasn't even going to argue. I just looked down, you get home, just get it over with, because I don't want to have to struggle with this anymore. It was agonizing waiting for him to come home. Must have been an hour, I don't know, maybe 2 hours. I just kind of knelt there, just waiting for my dad to come in the door. And finally I heard the truck pull up, and heard the door open, and I said, oh. So I just kind of winced, just waiting for this moment, right? It was horrible, agonizing. And I heard my dad walk into the house. He walked down the hall, and he came to my room. My door was open, and I was kneeling there, just waiting for the spanking. And I swear to this day, I heard him snicker, kind of laugh a little bit, and then he just kind of walked away. And I think he felt that I had suffered enough. And he never punished me for that. In fact, the weird thing about it, I can't remember ever talking about it again. I don't remember us ever having a discussion about what took place. To this day, I don't know how it got put out or what happened after that. My brother never said a word to me about it. And to me, that's what grace is like. It's kind of like you do something bad, but then Jesus paid the price for your punishment. And so now it's like you never did it. You confess it to him, it's wiped away. Now we can't keep doing it. We have to stop. We have to realize what we did was wrong. Believe me, I never did anything like that again. That was a very frightening experience. But that's what Jesus is like. He loves you so much that, when you make a mistake, you just come to him and tell him what happened and say you're sorry, and he just forgives you. And his sacrifice pays the price for what you did. That's what grace is all about. So, all right, so you can go back to your seats. Thanks so much. Happy Sabbath.